Welcome back, everybody. The countdown continues. We've got just 2 days until Donkey Kong Bananza launches, and we are doing a video every day until then. For 2 days left, we are talking about the dynamic duo, the two main characters at the center of this story, Donkey Kong and Pauline. How it's an evolution from the previous game's buddy system, what it means for the story, and how it will affect the gameplay and the game experience. We've already done 7 questions, 6 enemies, 5 fractones, 4 mysterious fossils, and 3 takeaways from the developer interviews. I've been saying if you like this countdown, let me know and I'll keep going, but with only 1 video left, I'm going anyway, and we will see you at the launch of Donkey Kong Bananza. As a new channel, most of the people watching this aren't subscribed yet, but I hope you consider subscribing so we can continue to learn about this game together when it launches really soon. And a quick note about spoilers, everybody. As I record this, leaked copies and leaked stories are appearing on the internet. I know it's hard to avoid, but for the time being, this channel is going into spoiler-free zone mode. I'm going to continue having fun speculating based off of what is publicly available, and I'm not going to share any spoilers that I run into. After the game launches, it won't really be spoilers anymore, but I'll still provide warnings before talking about any major story reveals, at least for a little bit. Let's all have fun discovering this game together in our own time. At the heart of this game, we have not just one character, Donkey Kong, we've got 2 central protagonists, Donkey Kong and Pauline. Unlike most of the other games where the Kong buddies were only with you for part of the time, Pauline is going to be on your back the whole game, and that's really going to change how the game feels. And there's a few parts of her companionship that I want to consider. These can mostly be broken down into story and gameplay. And I want to talk about the gameplay first. One of the items from the developer interviews that I wasn't able to cover in the previous video was about the role of Pauline as having a narrative purpose to the gameplay. Mostly that with Donkey Kong not talking, Pauline, as somebody who understands and speaks and sings in your own language, serves to help you navigate through this unfamiliar world that's unfamiliar to Donkey Kong, you as the player, and to her, but she's able to speak in your language so that you can help navigate it. We've seen in the footage, and I've played in the demo, that this is really ever present. For example, she's always commenting on what you're doing, cheering you on and pointing you towards secrets. And that's a really new thing for these Donkey Kong games. It's really charming, but I do wonder if it might get a little grating over time, and I also worry a little bit about the extent of hand-holding, because I do want to discover things on my own without being steered too much by the game. Another gameplay difference from the previous games is that, like I mentioned, she's going to be with you the entire time. So while the Kong buddies were often there to solve particular puzzles that the level was providing to you, Pauline's powers are always going to be available to you. And that's going to change how the developers approach the puzzles in the game. Because they can't take Pauline's powers away, they have to always incorporate that into the levels in order to provide the right amount of challenge. Gameplay-wise, I'm also curious if there's ever going to be an opportunity to swap Pauline out for any of the other Kong buddies. We do know that Diddy and Dixie are in the game, but so far they're only confirmed as NPCs. I've speculated in other videos if it's possible that the post-game would provide an opportunity to swap out Pauline for one of your other Kong buddies to ride on your back, even if it didn't make a gameplay difference, but was just aesthetic. I don't think that's super likely, but it could be a nice reward for longtime DK fans. And of course, the other element of the gameplay is how having 2 main protagonists has allowed the developers to expand on the powers that Donkey Kong has while making everything seem coherent. So while Donkey Kong focuses on raw physical power, Pauline's musical and transformation abilities widen the moveset without changing the character of Donkey Kong too much. It also adds additional possibilities for the skills system and the outfit system. We know that the outfits actually have light RPG elements with stat bonuses, and you just simply have more articles of clothing by having a second protagonist. And although it seems most likely that the hidden skill trees are really going to be additional transformations for Donkey Kong, I still think it's quite possible that Pauline's powers are going to be upgraded partway through the story based off of what we've seen from the footage, even if it's not actually reflected in Donkey Kong's skill tree. But of course, most of the impact of having this dynamic duo in the game is about story and aesthetic. You have this really interesting contrast between the strong, brutish ape and a delicate young child, and you can see with how seriously the developers are taking the story that the relationship between Donkey Kong and Pauline is going to drive a lot of the emotional action. I'll be honest, every time I watch the end of the direct with Pauline and Donkey Kong reaching for each other, I get a little emotional. I think by having 2 main characters throughout the entire story, it's going to open up way more narrative possibilities because you have 2 characters that you care about, not just one. And of course, this isn't actually a new character. Pauline goes back all the way to the original Donkey Kong. Now, here, instead of one being the captor and the other being the captive, they're teamed up together. They're on the same team, but it creates a lot of very strange questions about the timeline timeline of everything, the relationship between Pauline in this game and the Pauline from Super Mario Odyssey, and the timeline of the original Donkey Kong games too, when everything seems to be fossilized, and we're not quite sure where we are within this universe. Yes, making Pauline young probably started just so she would fit on Donkey Kong's back, but it seems that the developers took that narrative challenge seriously and are doing their best to make something interesting and mysterious for us to uncover. And in fact, that part where Pauline and Donkey Kong seem to fall away from one another might go back to gameplay. There could be a moment when Pauline is in fact taken away to provide a new challenge for the character of Donkey Kong by himself. Honestly, this is going to be so important to the game that part of me wishes that none of this was revealed until the game launched. Of course, this information ended up being leaked anyway, but having the idea of just the odd rock character and what that mystery represented could have been a fun way to go into the game, but that's not the universe we live in. So this is our dynamic duo, the two characters, not one, at the heart of Donkey Kong Bananza. I'm excited to finally get to know them for real when it launches in a couple days, and I hope that you join me for that. Until next time.